Hi guys, Mandy with Tidy Sticky Mama, and today we're gonna build some shelves. Now I know that probably doesn't sound terribly exciting, but I'm really excited because this is the first time I've gotten to build anything in about a decade. And I'm really excited to get back to it, and it's gonna help me tidy up my basement. Now, this section doesn't look so bad, but there's a lot of things kind of on the floor in the foreground here that you guys can't see, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff in the other room that I moved around to have the space to build shelves over here. It's not pretty. So we're gonna corral all of that stuff into one nice tidy space with these nice shelves that I'm custom fitting to what I need to put on them and the space they're going in. So I'm going to go change because I like this dress and I don't want anything to happen to it in the course of this project, and then I will come back and we'll get started. So this project was really simple, very few materials. It's all 2x4s, and then all you need are the screws and the tools to do the job. I found the plans free on annawhite.com, but she also has a YouTube channel that you should check out when you get the chance. Here I'm just copying my measurements onto the plan so that I make sure that I build the shelf the way I need it to be, which is a little bit different than the standard build on Anna's website. Then it's just time to get to work. And like my dad always told me, measure twice, cut once. We already had the boards cut at Home Depot because they wouldn't fit in our car to come home otherwise, but I still need to make sure that I'm drilling my holes in the right spot so that everything lines up properly at the end. I don't want crooked shelves. If you have a smaller vehicle, or maybe you're also like us and just don't own a saw yet, getting them cut at the store is a great option to take care of those problems and still be able to do these sorts of projects. Plus, honestly, it saves you time when you get home because everything's cut and you're ready to just get right to the building. Cuts down on the excuses you have to not just get it started. You know, when there's just one more thing you've got to do to make it happen, sometimes it takes longer for you to want to actually do that one more thing, which means it takes longer for you to get to the project overall. And, you know, I'm guilty of that. So the fact that I could have this part done for me was awesome. The first step in putting the shelf together is assembling the leg supports, which is what I'm doing here. What you can see here is me catching a mistake in my calculations. I realized looking at it that it didn't look quite tall enough to fit the bins the way that I wanted them to fit. So on the fly, I had to make some adjustments, but that was kind of a crap moment, you know? These leg supports are the part of the project that took me the longest. If I was going to do this again, I would get self-tapping screws. They are more pricey, but the extra cost is worth it if it's going to literally shave your project time in half. And it would, because I would be drilling the pilot hole and then drilling the screw into that hole. The second leg support went a little bit faster just because I had the experience of having done the first one, and I had already corrected my mistakes in the first one, so this one I measured the right way this time. sure you noticed the wardrobe change, and there will be more, because while I was making this project, I mostly worked around the kids' nap times so that I didn't have to deal with them, potentially being in the way and getting hurt. You can see my oldest was very curious about the project and came to check things out a few different times though. If you have older kids that would actually be helpful, definitely get them involved with this. These are great skills for kids to have, and this project is very simple. I don't doubt that if she were a couple years older and I could actually trust her to be careful with the drill, I don't doubt for a second that she could have put this whole thing together by herself. It is that easy. There we go. And number 2. One more and we're almost there. The best thing about this plan is how easily customizable it is. Her plan as is involves a 20-foot shelf, which is the length of the long boards off the rack at Home Depot. And she has 4 levels to hers. Mine is only going to be 10 foot long and have 3 levels. But that wasn't hard to adjust for at all. I just had to decide how long I wanted my legs to be and then figure out how many of those I was going to need to support my shelves. The longer your total shelf length is going to be, the more of these leg supports you're going to need. One. Let's do the shelves. The next step is getting the shelves attached. I'm going to put on the outside boards first because this will let me square it up and make a nice solid box. You'll notice I only have 2 out of my 3 leg supports standing there, and that's because I had to make this shelf in a couple of different sections. You typically want supports about every 6 to 8 feet, so I could have very easily just made this 3 legs, right, 1 at either end and then 1 in the middle at 5 foot. But the bins that I wanted to put on it are about 2 feet long each. So by doing 6 feet on one side of the center leg support and 4 feet on the other side, I can fit the bins in without having to wiggle them around the leg in the middle. Now I could have used entire 10-foot boards and just positioned the center support at 6 feet along, but our vehicle does not allow for me to transport that length of lumber. It will handle 6 foot and 4 foot, and that's what we went with. What I'm doing here is marking the point at which I want the boards to actually line up on that center support. And I have to do that because I don't want it to be all the way to the end, or I'm going to have a hard time attaching the other section of shelf. This way, with them only halfway through, I can just cozy up the other boards to the ends and have a seamless shelf. Whole box of screws. 2/3 of the way done with the first big section of shelf. It's been pretty good. Run so far. slowed me down a little, and I think I kind of messed up trying to do it today. My hand is on fire. Attaching the actual shelves is by far the easiest part of it, and it went way faster than building the leg supports. I definitely recommend that you do the top, and then the bottom, and then the middle, just for ease of access reasons. Because literally all you're doing is putting boards down and screwing them in place. It is still a lot of drilling though, and I would have been done by now if I'd used self-tapping screws. So definitely worth thinking about for the next one. A little interesting thing here is this is actually a different kind of screw than I started with. I had to send my husband back to the hardware store for a second box of screws, and he accidentally picked up the ones that need a star bit, and luckily I have some, but that was pretty funny. Man, just look at that beautiful shelf. Look at that. I made that. I made that. You can see at the end here what I meant about only putting the boards part of the way through the support. So the big part done. Now what I've got to do is get all the stuff out of the way so I can put this where it goes and then build on the other section of it. The reason that I didn't just move all of this stuff to begin with and build it all over there is that there wasn't really anywhere to put it. I needed the wide open space to build this shelf, and I had to use up some of that space moving this. We still need our basement for regular use, so I couldn't just haul everything out of here and cram up like the bathroom and the laundry space and the kids' play area. So that's what's going on here. And of course, if I'm moving everything, I might as well give it a little bit of a cleanup. One of my big motivations for making this shelf is the fact that our basement occasionally gets water up through the floor, and you can see that I made the space underneath it pretty high, and that's to give me space to get underneath and wipe up the water when it does accumulate. A little bit of fiddling around to get things where I need them to be, measure and make sure my space, and I can start laying boards. Little bit of a preview kind of so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's done. We are so close. The process is very much the same, but this side is going to go a lot faster. Altogether, gauging from my footage, this is probably about a 3-hour project. It took me a couple of weeks because I was working around nap times and things, but if you can do it all in one go, it'll be very fast. Okay, this right here sucked. My bit got stuck in the board and came out of the drill, and I actually had to go get a pair of pliers to like twist it and try to get it free. Thankfully it came loose without too many problems and I was able to get back to work. You can see right here though why I recommended earlier that you do the top and then the bottom and then the middle, because if I had done the bottom first I would have to stand on it to get to the top, and if I did the middle before I did the bottom I would have to bend over and kind of squish myself under the shelf to do that, and that would just be really uncomfortable. So definitely go top, bottom, middle when you're putting the shelf together, okay? Save yourself a little backache. you're about to witness one of the other trials that I had working on this, in that filming is going to cut because my camera battery dies right about here. So I had to come back the next day. And this time, I was here after dinner to just try to finish this thing up real quick, and discovered that if I'm shooting in the basement, I should really just wait and do it after dinner, because look how much better this light is. I should have known, since there are south and west facing windows here, but things you learn as you go, you know? At this point, it's framed out, and all I need to do is attach the rest of the 2x4s to put the shelves all the way together, and I will have a complete 10-foot shelf ready to be filled up with all the crap that I have just stuffed random places in the basement. You can see pretty well right here what I meant about just cozying the boards together. You can see on the bottom how it makes a seamless shelf, and you can see where I'm drilling right now to make the holes that shelf is also going to be very seamless, as if it was one solid board, but it actually fit in my car this way. So I made a newbie mistake, and I knew better because I've done it to myself previously on this very same project. And I stopped filming yesterday because my camera battery died. Well, I didn't bother to plug in my drill after that. So today, when I came back to it, that battery died. The perils of cordless equipment, right? So it had enough life in it for me to put everything where it's supposed to go and pre-drill my holes. So I'm just going to come back and attach these just how you see it. I'm going to spare you that extra 2 minutes of accelerated video though. So I'll do that, and then we'll get this thing anchored to the wall and load it all up. And then you can see the wonderful after shot of my basement. So, throw me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Let me know in the comments if you've built anything with your own two hands. And subscribe so you can see this bad boy filled up and all the extra space I'm going to get in my basement when it is. I can't wait. Bye guys. See you next time. That one's upside down. So, there we are. Sorry. This is awkward. That's gonna be